Will Disney buy most of 21st Century Fox's assets, including the X-Men and Fantastic Four film franchises? And if those properties are back home at Marvel, does that mean that we'll finally get some X-Men games again? Hi, and welcome to H4G Gaiden. I'm your host, Tony, and this is our sideshow where we talk about gaming news, gaming topics, and today, a mixture of that and some movie news. Now, before we go any further, I do want to point out I'm playing the PS3 port of the X-Men arcade game, and I am unapologetically bad at it. You will see me die very frequently. Again, unapologetically bad. So anyways, the news broke that Disney has been in talks to acquire many of Fox's assets, including their movie properties. Quick note, this wouldn't include a lot of broadcast content like Fox News and Fox Sports. Those are cash cows that I don't think Fox wants to part with anytime soon. Obviously, the first thing on every nerd's mind is that the X-Men and Fantastic Four may be coming home to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is really exciting. Now, granted, some people are worried and skeptical, about situations like Deadpool, because Disney doesn't really do R-rated movies, although they do have subsidiary companies that do R-rated movies. Obviously people are concerned about the potential nerfing of properties like Deadpool. However, I'm excited to see what would happen overall. When Disney bought Marvel, I was scared to death. But ultimately, I was very happy with the result and the care that they gave the Marvel properties. I really felt like they bought Marvel and allowed Marvel to be Marvel, which was awesome. So when it came time to buy Star Wars, I was just plain excited. Anything to rip control away from George Lucas. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't really like the prequels. And keep in mind, the man didn't direct Empire or Jedi. I mean, he kind of directed Jedi-ish, and he does have some story and writing credits on both, but he wasn't completely the screenwriter on Empire or Jedi. And I get that he was heavily involved, but my point is that the first Star Wars film was the one that he was most responsible for, and that was saved in editing. And if you've read the early drafts or even the shooting script of Star Wars, you'd know that. The man essentially got to the point where nobody could tell him no, and Star Wars suffered for it. But not anymore, right? Because it's with Disney. So why did I go on that rant? Well, I feel similarly about the X-Men franchise. More recently, I loved Legion. I'm enjoying The Gifted. Liked Logan. Really liked Deadpool. But a lot of the main franchise movies are super hit or miss. And the studio's obsession with Bryan Singer is part of the issue. He is the George Lucas of X-Men. He just now figured out how to have the X-Men fight as a team, for example, in Apocalypse and a little bit in its prequel. Before that, they'd just go off and scatter into different rooms and do their things individually, never as a team, or half the time get captured. It just never really felt like X-Men to me, because the films never had that team dynamic. Not to mention that if Disney produces X-Men films, maybe we won't get the same cast of enemy frenemies in every single movie. I am just so tired, so damn tired of Mystique being in every film. I think she's a boring character. I don't think she adds anything. Jennifer Lawrence is a fine actress and all, but she just seems bored. There's really no reason for Mystique to be in every X-Men film. It's weird. Mystique isn't in every X-Men comic. She wasn't in every X-Men episode. Same thing with Magneto, and I know my opinion may be in the minority here, but I think Michael Fassbender does an amazing job. But think of it this way. What if every single Marvel movie had Loki as the villain or some sort of a frenemy villain that kind of sometimes teams up with you or doesn't? Loki is great because he appears once every 5 or 6 films, right? They utilize him sparingly, so it works really well because you kind of have this yearning to see him again. With the X-Men films, it's, oh, okay, well, we have a new cast of characters, here's Cyclops, here's Jean Grey, but really we're going to dwell on Mystique and Magneto. And I'm really looking forward to Disney giving a fresh start to X-Men. Also, earlier I mentioned Legion and The Gifted, And to my understanding, those are actually Fox/Marvel TV collaborations with influences from both companies. Now keep in mind, I'm not just bashing to bash here. I'm a huge fan of the X-Men, and I want to see that property taken care of. You know, I can't afford to anymore, but I used to read the comics for years. I taped every single episode of the animated series in the early 90s on VHS, and I still have the tapes. I collected X-Men cards because they were practically the currency in my school, and also the action figures. And I still have those and refuse to sell or throw them away. My main point here is that this buyout would actually be good for the main X-Men movies. But anyways, now you're probably wondering what this has to do with games. Well, when was the last time you've seen or played a new X-Men game? It's been a little while, hasn't it? Marvel has been shoving the X-Men aside in favor of properties connected to their cinematic universe. Toy lines canceled, the comics have been sidelined, and the games have been excluding the characters. Think about Marvel vs. Capcom, for example. In the newest one, they're absent. Even though X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, those games were essentially the genesis of Marvel vs. Capcom. But years later, the X-Men don't even get to appear in the game. If Disney takes one more step toward their ultimate monopoly of all consumable media, we may finally get some X-Men games again. I should also say that since this news initially broke, it's also been said that talks have stalled. Now, if you remember the rumors and news regarding Marvel and Sony effectively sharing Spider-Man's cinematic representation, the news included talks stalling as well. These things just happen. Now, I'm not saying that it's a given that the buyout will occur, I'm just saying that talks stalling doesn't necessarily mean a ton in the grand scheme of things. So that said, are you excited for this potential buyout, or are you concerned? Let me know in the comments below. And lastly, before we go, I wanted to give a big, huge shout out and thank you to Jared Lyons for creating the H4G Gaiden logo. I love it, and thank you so much for taking the time to do that. And aside from that, thank you everybody for watching, thank you for sharing, liking the video, and we'll see everybody next time. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a share, and we will see you guys next time.